They say, if you fall in love with a Vietnamese woman, you'll fall in love with the whole country. And it's not just a saying. Countless men from around the world have been captivated by Vietnamese women. It's not only their soft-spoken charm that wins hearts, but also their intelligence, grace, and an inner strength that seems unshakable. But Vietnamese women are just one part of what makes Vietnam truly fascinating. This S-shaped land holds so many surprises that even seasoned travelers can't help but be amazed. So what is it about this small Southeast Asian country that leaves such a big impression on the world? Let's dive into 18 fascinating facts you'll only find in Vietnam, from jaw-dropping cultural quirks to mesmerizing natural wonders, and see how many you already know. Vietnam's small in size, grand in wonders. Vietnam may appear small on the map, but it packs a punch when it comes to natural diversity. Spanning over 1,600 kilometers from north to south, the country showcases a striking mix of climates and landscapes. In just a few hours, you can go from chilly mountain forests to sunny tropical beaches. Home to Son Doong Cave, the largest cave on Earth, so massive it could house an entire skyscraper. Vietnam also boasts the mystical limestone islands of Ha Long Bay, the breathtaking Sapa rice terraces, and unspoiled beaches like Phu Quoc, Li Son, and Con Dao. Head up north in winter, and you might even catch snowfall, a rare sight in Southeast Asia. With over 3,200 kilometers of coastline and a rich ecosystem, Vietnam is a dream come true for nature lovers and adventure seekers alike. And just when you think it can't get better, the people, especially Vietnamese women, make it unforgettable. Vietnamese women, beauty, brains, and resilience combined. Vietnamese women have a magnetic charm that's hard to resist. It's not about flashy clothes or loud personalities. Their allure lies in a quiet elegance and a rare mix of tradition and modern strength. Vietnam is one of the Asian countries with the highest female labor participation rates. Vietnamese women often work full-time jobs, manage households, raise children, and still find time to support their families. Real-life superheroes in every sense. Even homemakers are pushing boundaries. Many run online businesses, manage their own finances, and define their own paths. This blend of independence and devotion is what makes them so unique and increasingly admired by men around the world. They're not just attractive, they're dependable, insightful, and incredibly tough, which is why more and more foreign men are choosing Vietnamese women not just as partners, but as life companions. Vietnamese cuisine, a no-waste food culture like no other. One thing that often surprises, or shocks, foreign visitors is how nothing goes to waste in Vietnamese cuisine. While Western diets tend to favor clean cuts of meat, Vietnam embraces everything, from nose to tail. That means dishes made from pig brains, intestines, chicken feet, and even raw animal blood, tiet cani, are part of everyday menus, whether in a street food stall or a regional specialty restaurant. Take tiet con, for example, a cold dish made from fresh animal blood mixed with minced meat and herbs, typically served with rice wine. Or try boiled pork intestines with shrimp paste, steamed pig brains, or the ever-popular lemongrass chicken feet. These dishes aren't just about flavor. They reflect a deep respect for food, creativity in cooking, and the resourceful Vietnamese spirit. For newcomers, it might be a wild ride. But for many, once you try it, you're hooked. Vietnam, a miniature world of cultures. Beyond its food and landscapes, what truly sets Vietnam apart is its extraordinary cultural richness. With 54 ethnic groups, each with its own language, clothing, traditions, and festivals, Vietnam is a living tapestry of diversity. From the colorful brocade skirts of Hmong women in the northern highlands to the rhythmic XOE dance of the Thai people and the majestic buffalo stabbing festival of the central highlands, each region offers something completely distinct. Even the country's geography divides its culture into 3 clear zones. The north leans toward formality, elegance, and deep-rooted tradition. The central region is known for its rituals, humility, and poetic lifestyle. The south is vibrant, open-hearted, and refreshingly laid back. Everywhere you go, you'll hear different dialects, taste different versions of the same dish, and encounter new ways of greeting or celebrating. Travel through Vietnam once, and you'll feel like you've experienced an entire cultural continent. And just when you think you've seen it all, you'll be introduced to balut, hot vit lon, Vietnam's most curious culinary surprise. Balut, Vietnam's most surprising and delicious food experience. One of the most eyebrow-raising dishes for first-time visitors to Vietnam is balut, or hot vit lon, a fertilized duck egg with a partially developed embryo inside. At first glance, it might seem intimidating, but for those who push past the initial shock, a world of rich, savory flavor awaits. Despite its unusual appearance, balut is a beloved street snack in Vietnam. It's common among students, workers, and even families enjoying a casual evening treat. Typically served with fresh Vietnamese coriander, rau ram, shredded ginger, and a pinch of salt and lime pepper, the dish becomes a symphony of textures and tastes, creamy, warm, and unexpectedly comforting. Many travelers start out hesitant, but end up hooked. It's one of those foods that shifts from curiosity to craving. If you're brave enough to try it, you just might walk away with a new favorite. Balut is a prime example of how Vietnamese cuisine can surprise you in the best way possible. But not all traditional foods are simply curious. Some, like dog meat, spark deep cultural conversations and controversies. Dog meat, a traditional yet controversial Vietnamese dish. Among Vietnam's rich and sometimes unconventional culinary traditions, dog meat stands as one of the most debated. In certain rural areas, especially in the north, eating dog is tied to the belief that it brings good luck and chases away bad vibes, especially when eaten at the end of the lunar month. Prepared in a variety of styles, grilled, steamed, stewed with lemongrass, and usually paired with fermented shrimp paste and sticky rice wine, the dish has deep roots in local culture. However, for many modern Vietnamese and nearly all foreign visitors, the idea of consuming dog meat is deeply uncomfortable. Ethical concerns, changing attitudes about animals, and growing awareness of animal rights have sparked significant debate. While the dish is becoming less common in major cities, it remains a real part of Vietnam's culinary story, one that reveals the complexities of tradition, identity, and cultural transformation in a fast-changing world. Egg coffee, Vietnam's sweetest surprise in a cup. Forget everything you think you know about coffee. Vietnam has a drink that'll turn your expectations upside down. Egg coffee, café trong. Born in Hanoi, this unique creation uses no cream or milk. Instead, whisked egg yolks are blended with sugar into a rich, velvety foam and carefully poured over hot, bold Vietnamese coffee. The result, a creamy, sweet custard-like topping that harmonizes perfectly with the deep bitterness of the coffee beneath. The taste is pure magic, like dessert and caffeine rolled into one. And it's more than just a drink. It's a cultural gem. Egg coffee is a point of pride for Hanoians and a must-try for any coffee lover exploring Vietnam. Miss out on this? You haven't truly tasted Hanoi. Sidewalk dining, where the real flavor lives. In Vietnam, the best meals aren't always served under chandeliers or on linen-covered tables. Often they're found on the sidewalk, sitting on a tiny plastic stool huddled around a steaming bowl of something amazing. From early morning pho, midday banh mi, to late-night spicy snails and skewers, Vietnam's street food culture is lively, flavorful, and incredibly down-to-earth. You'll hear the clink of ice in tea glasses, the chatter of friends catching up, and the occasional roar of motorbikes passing by. Vietnamese people don't just eat to fuel up. They eat to connect. The sidewalk becomes a social hub where laughter flows as easily as the food. It's an everyday ritual that turns ordinary meals into unforgettable moments. In Vietnam, flavor isn't just in the food, it's in the way it's shared. Vietnamese traffic, total chaos, somehow zero collisions. Ask anyone who's visited Vietnam what shocked them most, and you'll hear one answer over and over: the traffic. Especially in cities like Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh City, streets are a swirling river of scooters, bikes, and cars, seemingly ignoring traffic signals and lanes. To outsiders, it feels like chaos, but somehow, it works. Locals navigate it all with an unspoken rhythm, guided by eye contact, instinct, and what can only be described as sixth sense level reflexes. There's very little honking, almost no road rage, and surprisingly few accidents. Tourists often call it the motorbike dance, a flow of motion that defies logic but functions with strange harmony. It might look wild, but beneath it all is a deeply ingrained understanding of shared space and mutual awareness. In a place where crossing the street feels like a leap of faith, Vietnam's traffic system is oddly poetic, a chaotic masterpiece that only the locals can truly master. Vietnam remarkably safe amid the chaos. At first glance, Vietnam's cities might seem overwhelming. With streets jammed full of motorbikes, loud street vendors, and nonstop movement, many visitors expect a sense of chaos. But beneath the buzz lies something unexpected, a deep sense of safety. Tourists are often surprised to find they can walk alone at night in bustling cities like Hanoi, Da Nang, or Ho Chi Minh City without much worry. It's common to grab a late-night bowl of pho, sip coffee on a sidewalk, or stroll through the streets without fear of theft or violence. This safety is powered by a close-knit community culture. Neighbors look out for one another, and the old Vietnamese saying, Toi lua tat den ko nao, in the darkest times we help each other, still rings true today. And perhaps it's this very sense of trust and community that explains the next uniquely Vietnamese experience, where even self-care takes to the streets. Street haircuts, five-star grooming, sidewalk style. Yes, in Vietnam, you can get a fresh haircut, shave, and even an ear cleaning, right on the sidewalk. These pop-up barbershops usually consist of nothing more than a mirror hung on a tree, a folding chair, and a set of clippers. Yet they stay busy all day, offering personal grooming in the most unexpected of places, all for just a couple of dollars. It may not be a luxury salon, but the experience is pure charm. Tourists often rave about it as a one-of-a-kind moment that captures the relaxed, resourceful, and very human spirit of Vietnam. Mekong floating markets, Vietnam's river supermarkets. Imagine shopping not with a cart, but from a boat, floating along a river full of vibrant produce, friendly chatter, and colorful chaos. Welcome to the floating markets of the Mekong Delta. At famous spots like Kai Rong or Phong Dien, boats serve as mobile shops, filled with everything from tropical fruits to hot breakfasts. Instead of flashy signs, vendors use tall poles to display their goods, and sales are made with loud calls and wide smiles across the water. These markets are more than just commerce. They're a living slice of river life, where people, nature, and culture flow together. Many travelers call it a tropical Venice, only with a uniquely Vietnamese heart. Sidewalk iced tea, Vietnam's most social drink. If you really want to feel the pulse of daily life in Vietnam, skip the fancy cafes and grab a plastic stool on the street with a glass of iced tea, Tra Da. For just a few cents, you'll be part of a mini community. Students, motorbike drivers, shop owners, everyone gathers here to relax, share stories, debate football scores or current events, and simply connect. This simple drink is more than a refreshment. It's a social ritual. Some visitors even joke that Tradavia is the offline version of Facebook, where no Wi-Fi is needed for hours of conversation. And just across from these tea spots, you'll often spot something else truly unique, the marvel of Vietnam's super thin houses. Super skinny houses, Vietnam's vertical genius. In cities like Hanoi or Ho Chi Minh City, you might spot a house only 1 meter wide, yet rising 4 or 5 stories tall. It looks like a real-life game of Tetris. And it's 100% real. These tube houses are the result of narrow land plots and rising property prices. But rather than waste space, Vietnamese families build upward. Despite their narrow footprints, these homes manage to include kitchens, bedrooms, and even balconies. To many visitors, they're not just architectural quirks. They're symbols of Vietnamese ingenuity, resourcefulness, and a refusal to let any space go to waste. Water puppetry, theater on water, found only in Vietnam. Forget traditional stages. In Vietnam, you'll find performances that take place on water itself. Welcome to Mua Roi Nuoc, or water puppetry. This centuries-old art form is unique to Vietnam. Wooden puppets, controlled by hidden rods and puppeteers, standing waist-deep in water, glide across the surface to tell stories from rural life, ancient legends, and folk tales. With live traditional music, the sound of splashing water, and smoky incense drifting through the air, the experience is enchanting. At places like Thang Long Water Puppet Theater in Hanoi, international audiences sit in awe, not just watching a show, but witnessing a living, breathing piece of Vietnamese cultural heritage. Tet holiday, Vietnam's most sacred and spectacular celebration. While most of the world celebrates the New Year on January 1st, Vietnam welcomes Tet Nguyen Dan, or Lunar New Year, based on the lunar calendar, Sarao, a multi-week celebration that's as spiritual as it is festive. As the holiday approaches, the country bursts into motion. Homes are cleaned top to bottom, families wrap traditional bánh tráng, square sticky rice cakes, and the streets bloom with pink peach blossoms in the north and yellow apricot flowers in the south. For visitors, it's like stepping into a movie scene. Dazzling decorations, locals dressed in elegant áo dai, joyful faces offering well wishes and a sense of renewal in the air. Tet isn't just a holiday. It's a time for homecomings, ancestral respect, and fresh beginnings. And during these deeply meaningful days, one aspect of Vietnamese culture becomes even more apparent: the spiritual layer woven into everyday life. Spirituality in everyday moments. Vietnam's sacred simplicity. In Vietnam, spirituality isn't hidden behind temple walls. It's woven into the rhythm of daily life. You'll notice it everywhere: tiny roadside shrines, fruit offerings placed at ancient trees, or a god of wealth altar quietly sitting in a corner of a coffee shop. Vietnamese folk beliefs emphasize gratitude, harmony with nature, and honoring ancestors. There's a gentle belief that even objects, from wells to milestones, can possess a spirit. Offering incense, fruit, or water isn't just tradition. It's a heartfelt way to wish for peace and protection. This blend of the mystical and the everyday gives Vietnam a unique atmosphere, both magical and warmly familiar, that many travelers describe as deeply moving and unforgettable. Chopsticks only: a skill, a tradition, a cultural art form. In Vietnam, forget forks and knives. Here, chopsticks do it all. From picking up slippery noodles to delicately deboning a fish, or neatly wrapping a fresh spring roll. Mastering Vietnamese Tat-style chopstick use can feel like a survival skill for tourists, especially at local eateries where utensils are minimal. But with a bit of practice, it becomes part of the experience, adding a layer of interaction and finesse correct to every bite. More than just tools, chopsticks in Vietnam reflect a way of life: elegant, simple, and incredibly efficient. And once you get the hang of it, you might even feel like you've unlocked a deeper connection to Vietnamese culture. Vietnam's magic isn't just in its landscapes. It's in the small things, the subtle details, and the surprising contrasts that make you pause, smile, and say, "Only in Vietnam." Every dish tells a story. Every street corner hums with life. Every cultural quirk invites curiosity. And often it's these strange but endearing experiences that leave the strongest impression and call travelers back again and again. So which of these 18 unique traits of Vietnam surprised or impressed you the most? Or do you know something else that's so Vietnamese but didn't make the list? Drop a comment below and share your Vietnam moment with the world. And if this glimpse into Vietnam's incredible culture made you fall in love with the country just a bit more, don't forget to subscribe. These special, everyday wonders are what keep me inspired to explore and share more of Vietnam with you.